Welcome to another edition of Life with Leads Machine with me, Babi Nodwani. Now today we're touching on a topic that's very vital to those in the marketing industry, especially those who want to stay ahead of the curve. We need to understand what impact digital media has on the relationship between brands and consumers, and exactly to what extent that is. So I'll be bringing on 3 speakers and we shall interrogate this. Now, thank you guys for joining us with today's discussion. We're trying to find out how digital has, changed the relationship between brands and consumers. Now, all of us are in the digital marketing industry, and it's this big hoo-ha. Why do you guys think digital has such an impact?
I think digital has a big impact because you now are able to build a relationship or form a relationship with the actual brand. It's not like before where, Coca-Cola would put up advertising and that was the only form of communication. Now, the brand wants to talk to the consumer. They want to understand what the consumer wants, how they react and all that kind of stuff to the product that they're actually selling.
Also very easy access. You can get it on any platform, you can get it on your phone, computer, and we're all on our phones the whole time. And it's privy to what you like, so you can access what you want to access, how you want to access, whenever you want to access.
Yeah, I also think that the reach is a lot better. Instead of having a billboard where a few people drive through, you get tens of thousands of people logging into Facebook every day and seeing an advert.
Now, I know most of you guys are already on social media. Do you feel that brands are sort of now self-conscious and they're not really saying what they would normally say, or they wouldn't treat people the way they would normally do? Like if you go there, the expectations and the reality is not the same. So on social media, they're like selling dreams and how wonderful the companies are.
I think at the beginning, yes, but consumers have become very vocal, and even if a brand wants to cover up and they don't want to show their mistakes and all that kind of stuff, the consumer is going to vocalize their frustrations, their stress, the fact that they're not satisfied as a customer. And the only way that a brand can deal with that kind of situation is for them to be open and honest with the customer, to say, what, we messed up here, we're aware of the problem and all that kind of stuff, we're going to try and fix it.
Do you think maybe it's sort of a disadvantage for the brands because now they actually have to face the problems?
It is a disadvantage, but it also pushes the brand to make sure that whatever it is that they're putting out there is delivered properly. It also, factors the kind of person you employ within your company. It factors the advertising that you do. You're now taking into consideration what the consumer might say and how they will react.
Almost forced to be transparent. You don't
Exactly.
have an option.
But now would you say that the brand is not really being itself because now they need to portray themselves in a certain way?
They're being more themselves, because if they're not themselves, consumers will say what they are and who they are. So they've got to kind of get there before the consumer does. Almost.
And I think they can leverage it to make a disadvantage an advantage. I mean, if you can provide good quality customer service and a lot of people immediately see it where it previously goes unnoticed, then it could lead to future customers staying loyal to the brand.
Exactly, yeah. Now, it's also a huge debate where it's traditional marketing versus digital. Would you guys say, I think there's also a point where we sort of over-articulate digital media. It's like everything's not digital. First of all, how would you guys think brands should find the balance, or should everyone be now focusing strictly on digital?
I think it comes down to the actual, the client. If I like to always think of having a good mix of the traditional media on the digital. So instead of using a Facebook ad as a purely digital, use a traditional content and use it in a Facebook ad. So for me, it's client dependent, but I think it should be a good mix of the traditional and the digital.
Would you now say, for example, we'll still have your traditional marketing department? Would you sort of deliver the same broadband communication within all the different platforms, or there'll be like a different campaign digital? Or?
I don't think so. No. So the consumer that sits within the digital marketing space and the consumer that sits in the traditional marketing space is not the same consumer. The message that you would communicate to someone who's used to seeing traditional would be lighter, very soft, very self-explanatory, nothing hectic. Whereas within the digital marketing space, I think you have a lot more room because the person sort of understands what you're trying to communicate.
Okay, cool. Now there was a study done and they found that 1 in 4 people feel that brands communicate with them appropriately. What's your take on that?
1 in 4.
Yeah.
That's very little.
It is exactly.
Yes.
So I'm thinking there's probably a miscommunication between the brand and consumers, or obviously as a brand you're out there to promote your services. You're not really hearing what consumers are complaining about. Or if they do, they probably give like an automized answer. We all get that sometimes.
Yes.
Like, thank you, please contact us.
Yes.
You know, so it's not they're not really interacting with them in a way that they would like to. So I would sort of.
But
brands
remember,
about
the
that.
1 in 4. I think that
It's like
question
saying-
is it's a bit of a tricky question because a company could be focusing on traditional, right? Traditional marketing. If they are doing solely traditional, it makes it difficult for the consumer to come back and say, you know, Coca-Cola did A, B, C, D. It's the mediums in which you can communicate your frustrations or whatever it is that you want to tell that brand is not the same as when it's on digital. So I think it would vary. And I don't know about the report and whether it was focusing on traditional and digital.
I think
or
it's
it was
mostly on social media platforms.
on social
where
media
they're not
platforms.
really hearing what they're saying.
Maybe those people aren't embracing the digital way, like Michelle said in the beginning. It has to be a two-way communication. So
Exactly,
instead
yeah.
of just pushing and then replying when someone says something, like create a little bit more engagement, and maybe they've missed a plot there.
Yeah, but definitely not about engagement.
Mm.
But not all companies focus on that all the time. I think they're
Exactly.
still moving that way. I think as time goes by, you'll see that more companies will move that way because that's how it is. We communicate via technology all the time.
Exactly, yeah. So how would you, as experts now, sort of advise brands on how to get the balance between digital and traditional?
I think the minute you move into the digital marketing space, you have to understand that it's a completely different world to traditional. You also have to understand the fact that customers are going to complain and there needs to be a person from the very beginning. You might think that, you know, your brand is brilliant, and it's only once you're actually on those platforms that you actually realize that no, people have problems. But it's how you deal with a
Exactly.
situation that will actually, you know, make you stand out. So I
Good
think
point.
dealing with the situation as and when it comes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and being open about it.
I think it's good to have a big team that has a lot of experiences. So we deal with many clients on a daily basis, and a lot of things come up. So it's good to have that experience of this happened here. We handled it like this. This was wrong. This was right.
Exactly.
So it's good to have a big team doing it.
Okay.
Also, if your team shares the experiences, builds for a good company as well, and also good communication.
Exactly, yeah. Being experts in the industry, what would you guys say are sort of what the digital landscape will look like years from now, 5 years from now? What are trends to look out for?
I think it's going to be very more specific. I think you're going to log on and you're going to see exactly what that product can do for you, what those people will find you instead of you going to find the product. A lot more.
Thank you again to our experts for all that you guys had to say. Now remember, if you liked what our experts had to say, feel free to leave some comments and give our video a thumbs up. Also remember to subscribe to our channel. Until next time.